Millions of people bought into his promises to get tough on crime, to be a man of action, a man who could get things done, pointing to his experience down in the city of Davao. His style too, it felt very authentic to them. He didn't pretend to be something he wasn't. They voted for him. They're doubtless very happy and they're waiting to see what he does. There are others though, particularly those more concerned about the rule of law, about human rights, who are deeply, deeply alarmed by the kinds of things he's said. I've suggested to some people that, perhaps he doesn't really mean it, that he was playing to the crowds. They said, well, look at what he's done in Davao. And certainly, he is linked by human rights groups with the operations of death squads who killed suspected criminals, many of them very young in Davao. He's always denied links with the death squads, but openly said he thinks you need to kill people in order to get rid of crime. And so with that in mind, there are people who are extremely worried about him taking the reins of power. The one compensation they have in their minds, these are people on the more liberal side of thinking, is that the son of former dictator Ferdinand Marcos, Bongbong Marcos, did not make it to the vice presidency. It was a very close run race. The vice president is elected separately, and that a well-known liberal, a woman called Leni Robredo, who was an ally of President Aquino, has actually got the most votes there. So they're hoping that in the vice president's post, she may be able to act as a check on some of those very large ambitions of now President or President-elect Duterte.
He promised, Mr. Duterte, to tackle crime and drug abuse, Jonathan, and we just heard that message over and over again when he was campaigning. How is he going to deliver on that promise?
Well, we don't know. One of the striking aspects of Mr. Duterte's campaign was he was quite openly dismissive of offering any kind of policy details. The threat to kill people is extremely alarming, and nobody really knows whether he's serious about that, what kind of authority he's going to give the police. There are other very serious proposals he's got in mind. He talked about sweeping aside Congress if it got in the way of him, of democratic checks and balances being unnecessary if he had to do something. That was worrying enough. He's also talking about pushing an existing agenda of federalizing the Philippines, of giving more power to the regions, and actually that will be very appealing, but it's an enormous job, would be very difficult to pull off, and will probably consume a lot of his energy. There's simply so much about how he would run a country rather than just a city of 2 to 3 million that we just don't know yet about Rodrigo Duterte, whether he is so much a lot of what he said was just playing to the crowds, or whether he sincerely believes the very, very tough and rough approach he applied down in what was a very rough city in the south can genuinely be applied to a country of 100 million people.